So death predictions for Power Book 3 Raising Kanan Season 1. This was something that was very difficult to do at the beginning of the season because it's a brand new show. Even though it's a prequel to Power, we knew before Raising Kanan began, it was going to be a show that was going to focus on a lot more than just a story about Kanan, so you could never really give any death predictions until you saw the story play out. But now we've reached the midway point of Raising Kanan and the mid-season break. We've seen a few storylines that tells us where some characters' fate is heading, but of course in typical Power fashion, I really wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more twists to come. So we're going to be talking death predictions involving Scrappy after he's infiltrated Unique's crew, death predictions for Unique as well as Davina and the Thomas family, Detective Howard and Gabriel from the Bodega, and whether or not we could see Kanan's first on-screen kill. We're also going to look at some theories surrounding this whole Power universe as a whole because I made this video many months ago discussing whether Raquel could still be alive in Power, so we're going to dissect some theories down and some plot holes down in this video too. I'll leave the timestamps of the talking points down below if you do want to skip to any part of the video. But of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But let's talk all things death predictions and start with Scrappy. Because of what played out in episode 5 with Raquel clearly the one who sent him to infiltrate Unique's organization, he's someone that Rack trusts. She's one of his most trusted soldiers, despite his beef with Kanan and recently being arrested for fighting with her son. She trusts him to go over to Unique's crew and get into Unique's head because Rack wants to know what Unique plans are and the moves he makes before he even makes the move. But at some point you have to think that Unique is going to find out that there's a mole in his crew because Rack is going to be 3 moves ahead of him at all times, and this is with the help of Scrappy of course, and it's going to raise several questions within Unique's organization, and there's going to be a lot of finger pointing and blame thrown around, and at some point he's going to find out that Scrappy is the one who's leaking information to Raquel. At this point, is he going to make an example out of Scrappy, just like he did with his childhood best friend Trez G? If we've learned anything about Unique, is that he isn't afraid to kill anyone, torture anyone, whether it be his own or an enemy, and this is what he did to Trez G. So I would really hate to think what he would do to Scrappy if he finds out that he was a mole in his organization. But regardless of all this talk about Scrappy being the one to die in the last half of the season, I still don't think he will, and it's because you'll always see me refer back to the character descriptions of characters with what we've seen play out and what we're yet to see from their characters, and Scrappy's character description says Scrappy will play the tough, stubborn Scrappy, one of Rack's most trusted soldiers, with a street savvy as strong as his heart and loyalty to his crew. He reluctantly watches over Kanan and teaches him the inner workings of the family business. So we've seen the first part of his character description play out with his stubbornness of him being one of Rack's most trusted soldiers. We've seen him stick and move and the street savviness during episode 3 of Raising Kanan when he outmaneuvered Detective Howard. But one thing we're yet to see from his character description is him reluctantly watching over Kanan and teaching him the inner workings of the family, and he can't do this if he's working for Unique. But this is something that we're yet to see from his character description, and this is why I don't think we'll see Scrappy die in this season. I think he's going to play a key role in season 2, and that will be when Kanan is a lot more involved in the streets. For example, when he does get his own corner with Scrappy teaching him how to stick and move and teaching him the inner workings of Raquel's organization. But how Scrappy makes it out alive infiltrating Unique's crew is anyone's guess, because there's no way Unique will let him go easy if and when he finds out that he's the one that's been giving inside information to Raquel. But as I said, I don't see Scrappy dying this season because we're yet to see him mentor Kanan. But coming away from Scrappy, it is really easy to say at some point most of these characters will either end up dead or in jail, apart from Kanan and Duke, because we never really heard about them in Power apart from Kanan's mom in season 2, episode 2, which I'll come to when I talk about the Thomases. But one of the 2 people I do think will end up dying this season is Davina, and I do think she will be the big death this season. Kanan is way too naive at this moment. He needs a tough lesson. The death D-Wiz hurt him, but it's not going to be the death that changes him. The first real death that he's going to feel, and the one that's really going to change him, has to be Davina. For me, it's just a matter of how it's done, rather than if, because Jukebox knows that it was Davina who gave up the stash house, and now so does Juliana at the bodega. So it is really only a matter of time before this information gets back to Raquel, either through Juliana at the bodega, or through Scrappy who's now been planted in the middle of Unique's organization. And will she do something about Davina, or could Marvin actually do something about it? He's the one who said that they need to take care of the rat who gave up the stash house in episode 5, and I can really see him being the one dealing with this situation because he's a character who's all about loyalty, and you can bet he hates snitches. So I really do expect this to start unfolding in episode 6 next week. Davina is listed for episode 6 on IMDb, so I do expect them to come back to this storyline and pick it up again in episode 6, but she's my only real death prediction for this season, along with Gabriel, who I'll come to in a moment, because I do see the rest of the main cast making it out alive from season 1, and this especially goes for the Thomas family. I definitely can't see any of the Thomas family dying anytime soon. I really do think they'll be around for a while deep into season 2 and season 3. I know Marvin is the hothead of the family, and many predict him to catch a bullet this season, but he'll soon show his worth to the family, and I really do hope he's a character that is around for many seasons to come. But no doubt I do expect the Thomas family to drop one by one at some point in the future. Whether they end up dead or in jail, I think all of Kanan's family will drop one by one in a later season, but season 1 is way too early for any of them to go. There's of course the mention of Kanan's mom in season 2, episode 2, but I do think this was very early in Power, and I don't know whether they even had Raising Kanan in mind when they shot this scene. This was the scene scene where Kanan mentioned he went to go see his mom's, but Kanan also could have meant that he went to go see her at her grave. He could have also gone to see her in prison, or I really wouldn't be surprised if Kanan was just lying altogether, because we know how good he is at lying and just how manipulative he can be. But in my honest opinion, I do think she dies, but there is a plot hole that they can exploit and they can actually send her to prison. Just imagine at some point in Power Book 2 Ghost, or in season 5 or season 6, we actually see an older version of Raquel meeting Tariq. That really would be Power doing a full circle and a way of tying the whole story together, and this is something I do think will happen with a character or two, but who as of yet is difficult to say. But there definitely is a plot hole that they can exploit there, and it definitely is a story for a future season. But as for now, I do see every member of the Thomas family making it to season 2 at least. And the same goes for Detective Howard. Although I do think he will die eventually, they've already planted the seed for this to happen early on, with him having cancer and needing a bone marrow transplant. He went to go visit the doctor in episode 5 again, and she said that none of his cousins were a match, and no doubt Kanan will be, and there's no way I can see Kanan agreeing to a transplant when he finds out that Howard is his father. And it is going to be really intriguing to see how this whole situation plays out between Howard and Kanan, because Raquel doesn't want to give Kanan a role in the Thomas family and reluctantly agrees to teach him how to cook, because he said he's going to learn one way or another. And I do wonder whether when the truth is revealed, could Detective Howard promise Kanan free reins of the streets, similar to how he told Unique that he'd make sure he's the king of the kingdom. He followed up on his promise by busting one of Raquel's corners and creating a real problem for Raquel and her Connect Dean. And we all have to remember, Kanan is an ambitious kid. She reminds Raquel of a younger version of herself, so if Raquel is holding Kanan back, whether it be to protect him from the streets or wanting him to do things her way, we're going to see Kanan enter regardless. But Howard could really be the avenue which Kanan could use if he doesn't get what he wants from Raquel. And the lesson that is taught in the 48 Laws of Power is to learn and play the numbers game. The wider your support base is, the stronger your power is, and you have to build allies on all levels, whether it be in the street or whether it be with law enforcement. And this is what Raquel would have done years ago with Detective Howard. This is exactly what we saw Ghost do with Angela, we saw it with Felipe Lobos and Mike Sandoval, and Monet with Ramirez. You have to build allies on all levels, and I can see Kanan learning this lesson and using this guidance from the 48 Laws of Power. But can I see Kanan giving this bone marrow transplant to Howard at this moment in time? Right now I can't see it, but who knows what happens, because as I said, Kanan needs allies on all fronts. But I do think Howard's fate is written, and I do think he'll die eventually, whether it be from his cancer or at the hands of whoever else, possibly even Kanan himself, because if we were to take it back to Power, when he appeared in Tariq's hallucinations just before he killed Ghost, Kanan made it a point of Tariq being the one to kill Ghost. He told him that Ghost won't see it coming if it's Tariq, and I don't think Howard would ever expect Kanan to pull on him, just like how we've seen this father killing theme with Tariq and Ghost, Teresi and Tommy, Kanan and Sean. I can really see Howard's end coming at the hands of Kanan and continuing this theme of father-son killings into Raising Kanan, but definitely in a later season. And Howard again, I do think he'll be around deep into season 2 at least, so he's another character I don't expect to die in season 1, and the same goes for Unique. Unique's a character that I've been impressed with. I've really enjoyed watching Joey Badass as Unique, and he's a character being a rival to Raquel will die at some point, but I definitely don't see him dying this season either. I think he's a character that will probably die in season 2, because there's still so much more to come from him. But coming back to someone who I do think will die in the second half of the season is Gabriel at the bodega. He talks too much, he's always asking way too many questions, and he's someone that's been getting on Raquel's nerves, and one of the main issues is with him is he's a wife beater. We've seen Juliana with a black eye and cuts and bruises on her face. She looks at Raquel in awe of her, how dominant she is as a female, how strong she is, and she admires how she puts Gabriel in his place because she can't. And what could come into play is a piece of information that she now has that she could exchange for Raquel or one of the Thomas family members in killing Gabriel. It's the information surrounding Davina being the snitch, a favor for a favor, and this seems to be a theme throughout Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, a favor for a favor, so I can definitely see this happening in the second half of the season. And there are probably many others to die. They're probably members of Unique's crew or possibly a new crew that's coming in episode 6. There's these guys who we saw in episode 2 who wanted to get in on Marvin's business, and Marvin also mentioned a crew named Harlem who are pushing into their business at the lanes, so I do see a lot more deaths coming in the second half of the season and Marvin to be heavily involved. And he's a character that I definitely see dropping a few more bodies before the end of the season, but the main character who I see dying before the season close is Davina. Gabriel too, but Davina's death in my opinion is one that will have the biggest impact and needs to happen for Kanan. But those are my death predictions and theories surrounding Power Book 3 Raising Kanan, so let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. If you disagree, if you think Scrappy will die, or if you think Marvin or someone else will die, then just let me know your death predictions down below, and let me know whether you think Rack is still alive in Power. There is definitely a plot hole there which they can use. I still do think she'll die in Power, and Kanan just meant to go visit her grave, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.